do you see a communication that is different between men and women? Is there anything that pops up to your mind where you're like, yeah, there is a huge difference between men and women, and this is what I see in my practice as a coach?
Yeah. So I think that I do think that there are cultural similarities and that there are gender similarities. Of course, not everyone is the same, but in general, I have seen a lot of times women have an easier time than men communicate how they feel. And I've also seen a pattern of women communicating or talking to process their emotions, right? And whereas a lot of times men process their emotions better silently or individually, or at least they try to approach it in that way. And so not being aware of that can actually lead to all sorts of complicated, tricky situations. Because oftentimes in a couple, the wife, let's say, will start to talk through her thoughts. And the husband will approach that not as a space for reflection, but more as a means of addressing issues, right? So
yeah, I'm guilty for that.
I'm
Every
guilty.
time my
I'm
wife
guilty of
comes
that
up,
too.
she talks, I'm like, okay, let me think about solutions.
Yes.
Like, I want to give you actions.
Right,
And she
right,
wants
right.
to kill me in return.
Or you'd start to take things personally. You start to feel like, okay, I'm being attacked here, or I'm doing something wrong. Where in reality, she's just processing her feelings, her thoughts. She's trying to make sense of them. And with my wife, for example, she'll call a friend to be able to process, to just talk things out. And that's not something that I do. That's not something necessarily that I do, at least not deliberately. And so that's one of the many differences as to how communication can be handled very differently by men and women. But what has been your experience?
Yeah, that's like a very good example. I love your content. And, I've seen, just because I've coached so many women, especially in France, but also in the US, I coach mostly women. When they want to attract a good man, when they want to be with someone they like, when they want to build a relationship, and they will always tell me, I met a great man, he is amazing, but he doesn't express his feelings. He won't tell me that he loves me, that he misses me, that I'm the woman of his dream.
Yeah.
And usually my question after that is, how does he express his love then? And so I try to redirect them towards the love languages from Gary Chapman. And they will always tell me, oh yeah, he will do a lot of gift, or he will always be present when I need him.
Yeah.
And so I don't like to generalize because, as you mentioned, everyone is different. But I would say that mostly women, they will love the words of affirmation. And men, we are very into act of service. We want to be present. We want to respond present when we love you. But it's tough for us. And I think it's coming from the fact that when we are little boys, it's no good to talk about your emotions. It's no good to be vulnerable. It's a sign of weakness. So to express our feelings, at least for me, it was very not natural. It was counterintuitive, it was counter-natural, and so it requires first a lot of work, but also, if I'm honest with myself, I still have to do a good job because I still have to think about it. It's not natural in me. But that's the main difference that I would see, and I see a lot of women being frustrated, almost to break up, when in reality their men love them a lot, but not just in a different way. And that's where communication is very, very important.